The physiology of the musculoskeletal system focuses on the functions and mechanisms of the body involving the muscles and skeleton. The musculoskeletal system consists of two main components, namely, bones and muscles, which work together to provide support, allow movement, and protect the body's internal organs. The following is a detailed explanation of the physiology of the musculoskeletal system. 1. Structure and function of the musculoskeletal system. The musculoskeletal system consists of bones, namely, hard organs that form the body's framework. Bones not only provide structure and support, but also function as a place to store minerals, such as calcium, and a place for the formation of red blood cells. Muscles, tissue that can contract and produce body movement. Muscles work with bones to allow movement controlled by the nervous system. Bones. Bones consist of two main types, namely, compact bones and spongy bones. 1. Compact bones, namely, composing the outer part of the bone and providing strength and density. 2. Spongy bone, namely, located inside the bone and has a hollow structure that allows shock absorption and provides a place for bone marrow to produce blood cells. Bones also consist of an extracellular matrix containing collagen and calcium phosphate minerals that provide strength and density to the bones. Bone functions, namely, 1. Provides structure and support for the body. 2. Protects vital organs such as the brain, cranium, heart, and lungs, in the chest cavity. 3. A place to store minerals such as calcium and phosphorus, which can be released into the blood when needed. 4. A place for the formation of red blood cells in the bone marrow, hematopoiesis. 5. Allows movement by providing attachment points for muscles. Muscles. Human muscles are divided into three main types based on their structure and function. 1. Skeletal muscles, namely, muscles attached to bones and responsible for conscious body movements. 2. Cardiac muscles, namely, muscles that form the walls of the heart and control the heartbeat. 3. Smooth muscles, namely, muscles found in the walls of internal organs such as the intestines, blood vessels, and bladder. Muscle functions. 1. Movement, namely, skeletal muscles allow body movement by pulling bones. 2. Posture, namely, muscles work to maintain body posture. 3. Body heating, namely, muscle contractions produce heat that helps maintain body temperature. 4. Protection, namely, muscles help protect internal organs. 2. Muscle contractions. Muscle contractions occur through the interaction between two main proteins in muscle cells, actin and myosin. This process is known as the mechanism of muscle contraction, and occurs through the following steps: a muscle structure, Skeletal muscles are composed of long muscle fibers, each containing a sarcomere as the smallest contractile unit. Each sarcomere consists of actin, thin filaments, and myosin, thick filaments, filaments that interact to produce contraction. B. Muscle contraction mechanism. 1. Stimulation by nerve signals, namely, the contraction process begins when motor neurons send electrical impulses to muscle fibers. These impulses propagate through the sarcolemma, muscle cell membrane, and enter the cell through the T-tubules, which activate the sarcoplasmic reticulum to release calcium ions. 2. Interaction of actin and myosin, namely, calcium ions bind to troponin, which causes a conformational change in tropomyosin, allowing myosin to bind to actin. When myosin binds to actin, it pulls actin toward the Z-line, causing the muscle fiber to contract. 3. Use of ATP, namely, muscle contraction requires energy from ATP, adenosine triphosphate. ATP is used by the myosin head to move actin. After contraction, ATP is also needed to relax the muscle by separating the bonds between myosin and actin. 4. Muscle relaxation, namely, after the nerve stimulation stops, calcium ions are pumped back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and the muscle returns to a relaxed state. C. Regulation of muscle contraction, including 1. Impulse frequency, namely, the faster the impulse received by the muscle, the stronger the contraction produced, until it reaches a certain point. 2. Muscle fiber recruitment, namely, in stronger movements, more muscle fibers will be recruited to work, resulting in stronger contractions. 3. Movement control. Body movements are controlled by the relationship between muscles and bones that form joints. Muscles work in antagonistic pairs to allow certain movements. A. Types of joints. A joint is where two or more bones meet. There are several types of joints in the body. 1. Synovial joints, namely, allows free movement, for example, the knee, elbow, and shoulder joints. These joints have synovial fluid that reduces friction between bone surfaces. 2. Fibrous joints, namely, does not allow movement, for example, the joints between the skull bones. 3. Cartilaginous joints, namely, allows little movement, for example, the joints between the spine. B. Agonist and antagonist muscles. Agonist muscles, namely, muscles that function to produce the main movement, for example, the biceps muscle in the flexion movement of the arm. Antagonist muscles, namely, muscles that work opposite to the agonist muscles, such as the triceps muscle that works to straighten the arm when the biceps contracts. 4. Muscle metabolism process. Energy metabolism in muscles is very important to support continuous physical activity. There are several ways muscles produce ATP for contraction. ATP formation method. 1. Energy supply from the phosphocreatine system, CP, namely, in short and high-intensity activities, muscles use phosphocreatine to produce ATP quickly. This produces energy without oxygen and is temporary. 2. Anaerobic glycolysis, namely, in longer activities, muscles can break down glucose without oxygen to produce ATP. But this produces lactic acid, which can cause fatigue. 3. Aerobic respiration, namely, in low to moderate intensity activities, muscles use oxygen to break down glucose, fatty acids, and amino acids to produce ATP efficiently. B. Muscle fatigue. Muscle fatigue occurs when muscles cannot produce enough energy to perform further contractions. This can be caused by 1. Decreased ATP and creatine phosphate reserves. 2. Accumulation of lactic acid, which causes a decrease in pH in the muscles. 3. Running out of glycogen as the main source of energy. 5. Muscle recovery and growth. After exercise or physical activity, muscles need time to recover and grow. During recovery, a muscle repair process, namely, micro tears in muscle fibers during exercise, will be repaired and healed, which causes stronger and larger muscles, muscle hypertrophy. B. Nutritional supplements, namely, protein is very important for the muscle building process. Muscles also need enough calories to support recovery. 6. Disorders and diseases of the musculoskeletal system. Several disorders or conditions can affect the musculoskeletal system, including osteoporosis, namely, decreased bone density that increases the risk of fractures. B. Arthritis, namely, inflammation of the joints that causes pain and swelling. C. Muscle injury, sprain, strain, namely, injury to the ligaments or muscles due to stretching or tearing. D. Myopathy, namely, disease that affects muscle function. 7. Conclusion. The physiology of the musculoskeletal system involves the structure and function of bones and muscles to allow body movement, maintain posture, and protect body organs. This system relies on complex interactions between nerves, muscles, and bones to produce coordinated movement. Disorders of this system can cause dysfunction that affects quality of life and ability to move.